We constantly strive for mine in a relentless dance. Have you ever felt this subtle, persistent ache of wanting to be more? Or, this I we cling to, this fixed sense of self, creates boundaries, separating us. We build walls, believing they protect our precious identity. But is this I truly solid, unchanging, a permanent entity? Or is it merely a fleeting story, a collection of habits and perceptions? Tibetan wisdom teaches us that ego isn't an external enemy, but a construct of our own mind. It's born right here, within our consciousness. Ego is not a core self to be destroyed, but rather a dynamic flow of thoughts, emotions, and past experiences. It's empty of inherent existence. Tibetan approaches don't seek to crush ego. Instead, they invite us to recognize its luminous, empty nature, like a rainbow in the sky. Through mindfulness and meditation, we observe ego's arising and dissolving without judgment. We don't feed it, nor do we fight it. Imagine ego as a temporary cloud passing across the vast, clear sky of your true awareness. It appears, lingers, then naturally fades away. When ego's grip loosens, a profound spaciousness emerges. We discover an innate freedom, a boundless compassion that was always there. Embrace this boundless, true nature beyond ego. Live with an open heart, offering kindness to all. This is the authentic Tibetan secret. We often feel our ego as a solid self, a separate entity. Yet, Tibetan wisdom reveals it's a fleeting assembly of thoughts and feelings. This realm where ego is born isn't a place, but a process, the mind grasping at experiences, labeling them mine. Tibetan masters teach us that this self we cling to lacks inherent existence. It is empty, like a dream. Recognizing this emptiness isn't about destroying the ego, but seeing through its illusion, understanding its true nature. We don't fight the ego, for fighting gives it power. Instead, we learn to observe it with gentle, non-judgmental awareness. This is the path of wisdom, to see the ego's arising and ceasing, without attachment or aversion. As we cultivate this clear seeing, compassion naturally arises, both for ourselves and for all beings caught in ego's grip. Wisdom understands emptiness, compassion embraces suffering. These two wings lift us towards genuine liberation. Mastering ego isn't an end state, but a continuous dance of awareness, a deepening into our true, boundless nature. Embrace this gentle path of seeing, not fighting. Begin your journey today, observing the dance of your own mind. After exploring ego's subtle grip, ancient Tibetan wisdom offers a profound path. It's not destroying ego, but understanding its ephemeral nature. In Tibetan Buddhism, ego isn't a solid enemy. It's thoughts, feelings, and habits, constantly shifting, without a fixed self. The realm where ego is born is our mind's habitual clinging. We grasp at concepts, identity, creating a false sense of I. This grasping creates the illusion of separateness, me versus them. It builds walls where none truly exist. Tibetan wisdom teaches us ego's emptiness. It's like a mirage appears real, but lacks inherent substance. No need to fight it. Instead of destroying ego, we transform it. Its emptiness allows its energy to be channeled into compassion, wisdom, and skillful action. We approach ego with compassion, not judgment. It arises from ignorance, not malice. Understanding this brings freedom from self-blame. Practice begins with simple self-observation. Witness ego's movements, desires, fears, and judgments, without attachment or aversion. Just observe. As you observe, loosen your grip. Let go of the need to be right, to control, or defend a fixed self. Allow spacious awareness. Through this practice, ego becomes a servant, not a master. Find profound peace by resting in your authentic, boundless nature. Our ego constantly seeks validation, creating a relentless cycle of striving and dissatisfaction. This subtle suffering often goes unnoticed. We often mistake the ever-changing stream of thoughts and feelings for a solid, unchanging self. This illusion fuels our desires. This attachment to a perceived self creates fear of loss, fear of inadequacy, and an endless cycle of self-protection. It's exhausting. In Tibetan Buddhism, we explore the realm where ego is born. It's not a place, but the dynamic process of identification. Ego is not a fixed entity, but an ever-shifting aggregate of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. It's empty of inherent existence. The wisdom of recognizing this emptiness allows us to see through the illusion of a separate self. This brings profound liberation. Tibetan practice doesn't aim to destroy ego. Instead, we learn to recognize its nature, transforming its energy into wisdom and compassion. We cultivate a gentle compassion for our ego's struggles, understanding that it arises from ignorance. This transforms fear into fearlessness. When we abide in the spaciousness beyond ego, we experience true freedom. This is not emptiness, but boundless potential and joy. Embrace this path of wisdom and compassion. Recognize ego's illusory nature, and allow your true, unburdened self to shine through. Often we feel a constant striving, a subtle tension driven by a sense of I. This is where our struggles often begin. Tibetan wisdom teaches that this I isn't solid, but rather a fluid, ever-changing dance of thoughts and feelings. The ego is not an enemy to be conquered, but a conceptual construct born from our mind's habitual patterns. This realm where ego is born is simply our own mind, creating boundaries where none truly exist. Instead of fighting it, we learn to recognize its illusory nature, like seeing a mirage in the desert. When we understand ego is empty, not a solid self, its power to bind us naturally diminishes. Compassion for this struggling I transforms our relationship with it, releasing judgment and fear. Freedom isn't found by destroying ego, but by seeing through its illusions with clarity and kindness. Abiding in this spacious awareness, we find true peace, unburdened by the ego's endless demands. May you cultivate this gentle wisdom, allowing your true nature to shine, boundless and free. We often perceive ego as a solid entity, a fixed self that must be conquered or eliminated. But is this truly the path to peace? Tibetan wisdom offers a different view. Ego is not an enemy. It is a dynamic process, a collection of habits, not a fixed thing. It's like a mirage in the desert. We believe it's real, yet when we approach, it dissolves into thin air, leaving only space. This realm where ego is born is simply the mind's habit of grasping onto fleeting experiences and labeling them me or mine. Tibetan Buddhism teaches us to recognize ego, not by destroying it, but by seeing its empty nature, its lack of inherent existence. We observe its arising and passing, like waves on the ocean. They appear real, but are merely water in motion, not separate entities. This understanding cultivates compassion for ourselves and others, seeing beyond the ego's projections to our shared Buddha nature. So instead of fighting ego, we simply acknowledge it. We let go of the stories we tell ourselves about who we are. Through this gentle recognition, the illusion of a solid ego naturally loosens its grip. We find freedom in our true, open nature. Embrace this Tibetan secret: see ego as empty, not to destroy it, but to awaken to your boundless, compassionate self. Begin now. Last time, we touched upon the subtle realm where ego is born, that mental space where a sense of self first takes root. Tibetan wisdom teaches that ego is not a fixed, solid entity, but an ever-shifting, fluid construct of our mind. We don't aim to destroy this ego, for it has no inherent existence to be destroyed in the first place. Instead, we observe its nature, realizing its emptiness like a dream, an echo, or a mirage in the desert. Through meditation, we gain direct insight, watching thoughts and emotions arise and dissolve, revealing their impermanence. Compassion practices dissolve self-centeredness, expanding our sense of connection with all beings. The ego plays many tricks, creating endless stories of lack, superiority, or inadequacy. Awareness illuminates these patterns. Eventually, we see the ego not as an enemy, but as a part of the vast, open, non-dual expanse of mind itself. With this profound understanding, ego loses its controlling grip. We live freely, no longer driven by its relentless demands. This is the true mastery, finding profound peace by simply seeing the ego for what it truly is: empty, yet functional. In Tibetan Buddhism, the ego isn't an enemy to conquer. It's a fleeting illusion, born from our confused perception of self. We often mistake our thoughts and feelings for a solid I. Yet this I has no inherent existence, it's just a label. This understanding is called emptiness or shunyata. Not a void, but a boundless potential, free from fixed identity. Since ego is already empty, there's nothing to destroy. Fighting it only reinforces its illusion. We simply recognize its nature. The practice is simply to observe the ego's arising, the grasping, the judging, the craving, without identifying with it. Like watching clouds pass, we see these thoughts and emotions arise, linger, and dissolve. They are not us. This shift from being caught by ego to simply observing it is liberation. It's a profound release. From this spacious awareness, compassion naturally arises for ourselves and for all beings caught in the illusion. True mastery of ego isn't about control, but about profound understanding. It's seeing through its transparent nature. So observe your I with gentle curiosity. See its arising, its fading. Rest in the vastness beyond its fleeting dance. Even when seeking peace, a subtle self-preoccupation can linger, casting shadows. It is the silent architect of our inner struggles. We mistakenly believe in a fixed I, a solid self needing protection or validation. This illusion fuels our deepest anxieties. Tibetan wisdom teaches ego is not an enemy to be conquered, but a mental construct, an empty phenomenon arising from mind. The realm where ego is born is simply the habitual patterns of our mind, constantly creating and reinforcing this sense of self. We don't destroy ego. Instead, we observe its fleeting nature, recognizing it as empty of inherent existence, like a dream. Through mindfulness, we can see ego's subtle movements without judgment, allowing its grip to naturally loosen. Approach this self-construct with compassion, understanding it arose from ignorance, not malice. It yearns for belonging. By not identifying with ego's stories, we create space. We are the sky, thoughts are merely clouds passing through. This freedom from ego's constant demands reveals our true, luminous nature, boundless and inherently pure. Abide in this spacious awareness, knowing that peace isn't found by conquering, but by understanding and letting go.